Project Creator is proudly hosted on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's free. There are free creation tools to help you record and edit, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. Best of all, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started on your podcast today. Thank you for listening to Project Creator. My guests today are Metroyd Mike and John the Bard-barian. They are the creative force behind one of the most interesting and original musical acts I think I've ever heard of. I'm talking about the heavy metal Dungeons & Dragons comedy stage show and chiptune metal band called Balefire. We had a great time talking about the genesis of this idea and how Mike and John intend to bring the thing to life. Had a great time laughing, nerding out, geeking out over everything from Dungeons & Dragons to heavy metal music to live stage shows and so much more. Mike and John are two of the funniest guys I've talked to in some time, and I really hope you'll enjoy this conversation. I know I had a great time. If you would like to be a guest on the show and tell your story, please get in touch. And if you would like to support the podcast, I invite you to visit the Patreon link in the description below. And of course, I would appreciate your support. And now, hail! Balefire is upon you. So, Mike and John, thank you so much for joining me here on Project Creator. It is an honor to have you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very excited. We really are.
So, I did a little bit of a lead up coming into the start of the episode, and I gave a little bit of a teaser and a taste of what exactly Balefire is. But I want to hear it from you. I want to have you give me that elevator pitch, right? What is Balefire? What do you do and how do you do it?
It is the music embodiment of the dope wizard painted on the side of the van.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So when you've seen that awesome purple van rolling down the road and you've got this massive Gandalf wannabe looking dude, maybe there's a unicorn, that in musical form is Balefire.
Yeah, and he can be the wizard. I want to be the unicorn. But yeah, that's pretty much. And actually, we discussed that when we sat down and we're like, we want to do this. We both came up with that same it's the van. It's the wizard van.
It's what it is.
So yeah, from day one, that was the plan.
Now, taking a little bit more of the descriptor and some of the offline talks we had before the podcast, you really did lay out a very interesting vision of exactly what the musical style is, and something that I genuinely a little bit embarrassed to say that I wasn't familiar with the concept of chiptune or chip bending. So can you walk us through your music? I mean, I love the metaphor and I get the purple van and the wizard, but like legitimately, because I'm a huge fan of music and metal music, what is this? How did this come about? Where did this come from?
So I'll take it back a little bit before, and I'll let you explain kind of what the chiptune stuff is.
Cool.
We have been involved in the OKC music scene for a long time in various forms and variances, right?
Yeah.
And as bands do, people get into fights, people are dealing drugs out of the back of your guitar amp and you get mad about it. And just various projects kept breaking up. And we just got so sick of it. We're like, you know what? We really love old school, like heavy metal, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Megadeth. We just the old school, let's throw on a bunch of denim and just have fun.
Yeah.
Right. And playing in so many bands and having such a hard time with vocalists, we decided that in lieu of a vocalist, Mike would basically use a modified Game Boy and take that role of a vocalist.
Like a vocalist or like a keys player. And it just kind of works out that way. Like in mixing the Game Boy, because the Game Boy itself, I use a I use a program that's called LSDJ. It stands for Little Sound DJ, and it runs off the entire sound chip. Because the only thing I really have modified on the Game Boy is I bypassed the internal speaker, so that way the sound is clearer. But the program itself, being a tracker, it has 4 channels, which is the entire channel system of the Game Boy. So you'll have 2 triangle waves, a square wave, and a white noise manipulator for like drums or crash sounds or however you want to run it. And the easiest way to describe it without sounding overbearing is it's a file within a file within a file within a file, and you just build it slowly up until it's a tone, and then you set however you want your notes and however you set it up, and then you just build your rhythms that way and your melodies. And that was just, when I found that on my own, I found it was a much easier way to express my own music interest, because it was what I grew up with.
So it's literally on an old school brick styled Game Boy. What did you name the Game Boy?
The one we use is called Little Slimy.
Yeah, and it's just an old green Game Boy that we've worn the paint off of from just playing shows and stuff with this literal Game Boy.
It's my Game Boy I had as a kid that I painted green, and we've used it so much that like where all my hands go and everything, it's just worn all the paint off.
Now, is it like the yellow white patina under the green? Is that the old? Or is it gray?
It's still gray just because it was covered in paint.
Right. Okay.
So it still has the gray, but it's just like it's like a neon green, like flaked away in like where my hands go.
And we've tried to replace it with a newer red Game Boy. It doesn't sound the same. No. There's something real special about that green Game Boy. So we may have to retire it to studio use soon.
Yeah.
But there's something special about that little Game Boy.
It's really genuinely fascinating to me, because I hadn't considered the way you just laid that out, that the Game Boy becomes the vocalist. So I listened to which track is I try to get over to the Bandcamp, but the track that you have up on your Bandcamp right now,
Two Mimics to Midnight, which is an Iron Maiden reference.
Yes, and I'm old enough and at one point savvy enough to know that was one of my favorite D&D monsters when I was about 17 years old too. So when I listened to that, I genuinely didn't know what I was getting into. I knew that there was heavy metal was there, but I just couldn't wrap my head around how the sounds from an old school console game, handheld game, would make any sense in this context. I was genuinely thinking this. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was expecting hot garbage.
So were we.
Yeah, so were we.
And I was blown away.
Yeah, we weren't sure how it was going to work.
I was blown away. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And it didn't take long before my head was kind of going and I'm vibing. I'm like, Jesus, this is cool. Hold on a second. Like it was like a new discovery for me, man. Like, really?
And the chiptune scene's expansive. You can find just about anything in that scene.
Although I think we're the only one that's like really doing the old school metal thing. There are a couple guys that are doing chiptune with like really modern kind of djenty stuff.
Really modern progressive stuff.
Yeah, a lot of like programmed drums. And not that that's a bad thing. I listen to that stuff for fun. But I think we're the only ones that are an actual like rock and roll metal band with a Game Boy in a hollowed out dictionary to look like a tone book. You know?
But because the rest of the band, if I'm looking at it correctly, is legitimately a 3-4 piece arrangement. You guys are on instruments and a drum kit, and it's all band, but you have this member of the band who is buttons and a sound card. That's cool as hell.
Yeah, it's right now I think the only like member of the band that's not here is our buddy Julian, who is a killer drummer.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to the track, that was quite literally his first take.
Oh wow.
And I didn't time align anything when I recorded it. That is just how he laid it down. I was like, you want to hear the track first before you record it? He goes, no, I'm feeling it. And that was quite literally what he put down. And it was so perfect and just kind of spontaneous. We just left it in the record.
Isn't that like just like a magical moment when that happens, when you don't have to take...
Julian's a magical drummer. He's
a magical dude.
Yeah. And I think it's fun because he has such a, since he's from West Africa, and so he has such a not Western music approach to drums, that once he started playing modern music and everything like that, he has such an interesting take on drums because he doesn't sound like anyone else, because it's just, and he's incredible, So we have this great like rhythm influence that a lot of bands don't have because we have someone like Julian.
And you said magical. I think it was magical for everybody but me, because it hurt my soul a little bit, because it took me days to record those guitars, and it took me 30 minutes to get all the drums in a perfect take. And I don't want to say I was salty about it, but Julian, when you listen to this, I'm watching you, dude.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there when there's someone in the band, and my musical days ended so long ago, so many decades ago, but there was always that one person that would show up and make everybody else look like they're just banging on a Tonka toy and one of those stupid little pianos where a duck pops up. I mean, like, wow. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because what you described is that he doesn't have a lot of the baggage that comes with somebody who grew up with I guess what to say, American music in a way. He's got a fresh perspective.
And that's completely it, because they count rhythm differently overseas, and the way he felt it was super cool. And the whole idea of the band, now that you mentioned that, is trying to get rid of that baggage.
Yeah.
The whole idea is we're just here to have a good time. We're taking not being serious super seriously.
Yes.
Right. That's why all the songs are based on, fantasy D&D like tropes. I really like that. It's baggage free,
Yeah, it's with people who get along, and we all understand, like, we all have our own schedules, and because primarily the writing's like between John and myself, and once we have all of our stuff done, we hand it to Julian, who just can do his thing real fast, and it's not fair. And but it's just nice to be able to sit down and be able to, like, here's our idea. Let's sit down and try this thing. We'll sit down with guitars, get a general idea. I'll take it and work on it for a while. We hot potato it back and forth.
Right.
Then we get a Game Boy thing going and have that programming, hot potato that back and forth.
And this is a great segue into what you've proposed to be the stage show for Balefire. And that was where, like, okay, I was window shopping for a minute here, and I opened up the glass case and this cool music came. I said, this is kind of interesting. Okay, I might be able to get. Wait a minute, what? And I read the description of what you're going to do for the stage show, and I'm like, shut up and take my money. Let's go. What are we doing right now? So talk to us about the idea for the stage show.
So
party.
Yeah, we want it to be as much of a party as we can. How it started was a small idea that just kept growing and growing and growing. And we eventually found, like, no one's doing this kind of, once again, doing the old school heavy metal thing, but also keeping it fun, making people laugh, take, like, a joke that's taken extremely seriously. And it started with an old D&D campaign that me and a couple of other friends, my friend wrote the base idea for it in a day, and we played it that night from like 8 until 5 in the morning. And then it was just jokes the entire time. And so I just took that old story and I converted it into just a script with, like, characters and everything. So the stage show, like, the album itself has a story with it. Once it comes out, it'll have skits, it'll have all that performed. And the stage show itself is
a crowd interaction version of the same thing.
Yeah.
So a shout out to a band that Mike and I both love from Texas, and they have some notoriety. Their name is Psychostick.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, no Psychostick. Yes.
Yeah. We've met those guys a couple times. We love them. Yeah. And they're the ones who really inspired us to have this interactive stage show. Because if you've never seen Psychostick live,
it's the best way to see them.
They'll put a bunch of songs in a hat, and they'll pull songs out of a hat. They used to have a gag where they would give somebody in the audience a sombrero, and then they would basically have people fight over the sombrero while they played a breakdown, and whoever had the sombrero on at the end of the song got a gas station burrito.
Yeah, and it's just stuff like that.
And just it was going to those shows was so much fun. We both were like, man, we've got to do that. So we have this idea, like, there's one song that's a goblin march, right? It's a bunch of goblins marching through a cave. So what do? You make up a whole bunch of like little cardboard swords and stuff, give them to people, and your goblins, don't you dare stop marching until we're done with the song.
Yeah.
You know? So every single song has a planned crowd interaction element to it, so that you're not just standing there with your arms crossed like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, we want people to have a good time and, you know, stop taking metal so seriously.
And I mean, even with like a younger generation of metalheads coming in, like some that are maybe too young to be in a bar, like we were when we were growing up playing music. At least that's my experience. I was in bars at 13 playing music. But it was, you know,
which you can get a waiver for.
Yeah.
Just want
to
get that out there.
Yeah. It was super fun to have bands that were, you know, super interactive as a kid, because it makes it easier for you to get into it. And I mean, it's super fun just to be like, hey, you're young and you're in like a mosh pit and everything. Here's cardboard armor and a sword. I want this side of the room to kill that side of the room until the song is done, and then go. And that kind of music just changes an entire perception of how live music's supposed to be.
Yeah, but if you hurt somebody, you get time out.
Yeah.
I feel like we should say that. We're not actually out to hurt people. You know, we'll put you in timeout. And who wants to be put in, you know, timeout by a wizard on stage?
Yeah.
No one.
And there are actual wizards on stage, right? I mean,
I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have costumes. We all are playing different D&D characters.
Yes.
Mike is our wizard. And as I had briefly mentioned earlier, you know, hollowed out tome book with the Game Boy in it.
Yeah.
So he's playing the Game Boy out of a tome book, casting spells. I'm the Bard-barian. I'm a multi-classed barbarian that realized that, you know, maybe there's more than crushing skulls. It's melting faces, you know? So I do both. Julian is our rogue, you know? He's nimble, he's quick, and he really likes Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our stagehand who basically helps us run all the changes and all the props and stuff, he's dressed up as a ninja because it's perfect for a stagehand. So yeah, every single aspect of the live show is planned in some kind of larger than life, like,
yeah,
you know, if a preteen teenager would be embarrassed to do this, we're totally doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Well, it's a different landscape than I can ever remember it being out there right now. Like, you're describing what I remember. The only thing that existed, right, 20, 30 years ago in this was Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? That was the mental picture that you painted for me before realizing, oh yeah, the Psychostick. But that getting everybody involved, making them a part of the show, making them a part of the story. But I think you've had a very timely revelation, bringing D&D and cosplay and LARPing and everything into metal, because a lot of kids are running around like screaming about, I don't know, Motionless in White and some of these other modern, you know, I don't even think they call them new metal bands anymore, but it's good. It's fine. It has its place, but it's not the stuff that we listen to. It's not that clean, heavy, traditional. But I'm very keen on how all of that's going to blend together and how the audience, because D&D is huge right now. LARPing is still huge. Cosplay is like an entire ecosystem. There's so much going into one spot here. How far along in this are we, and when am I going to be able to see something happen? When do I have an excuse to head west and come see this?
We lost a year.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Due to the what I've had it called or heard it called the global bastard.
Sure.
You know, COVID really hurt that. So we've had to back burner it, but you know, people are getting their shots. We're starting to see the numbers go down. So we're really just waiting for that. And then what we'd love to do is start looking at some of these cons, you know, comic cons, any anime cons, and then try to get to mass gatherings of dressed up nerds.
Sure.
To do it. So I know that didn't answer your question, but the best answer that I can give is as soon as we feel it's safe to get people back out there and do it. You know?
Yeah, that's legit. Absolutely. And I wondered like what was going to be the Oh, where were you going to find these? And you nailed it. Like, it's the cons. It is absolutely, every little town has some version of a Comic Con. There's an anime. I mean, locally where I'm at in my part of New York, our massive technical college puts on an anime con every year that's just nuts, and all of my kids go every single year, and I haven't yet been. That's because I can't figure out any fat superheroes to be.
You know, I do the same thing. Not to interrupt, but I also am like, my brother's like, "You want to come with me?" It's like, I don't need to lose some weight first.
Well, we had this master plan one year that we were all going to go as the Watchmen because I convinced one of my kids to let me paint him blue and walk around in a Speedo. But I just,
I was about.
It just
that's
didn't.
Great.
There was way too much baggage for me to even try to pull off the comedian. It just wasn't there. No, it's not gonna. I'm gonna look like fat Deadpool. It's just not gonna. I can't sell that.
Yeah, it's rough out there for us heavy, husky dudes.
Husky.
Extra sexy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the D&D. No, let's try to twist that. Maybe thick as thieves with the two C's, because the kids say.
There you go. That works.
Ooh, I like that. That might be a song title now.
We'll
give you credit.
Oh my God! Don't even give me credit. Just write the damn thing.
Well,
I just want to hear.
That's another. Let me see. We have Quest or Die.
Mm-hmm.
What is
we have Quest or Die, March of the Goblins, Two Mimics to Midnight, Demir the Unequaled,
Psychopuss,
and what's the one that's tentatively titled City Escape, but it's in a cave
and different.
And
yeah. Which that's a whole meme in and of itself. It's the old Sonic the Hedgehog City Escape song. That one's going to be special. I'm excited for that song.
That one's going to be really fun.
But we got off topic. I'm sorry.
Well, no, this is all very much on brand and on topic, because I really want to understand, how this is all going to come together. Because logistically, you answered question one is how. Well, we go where the fans are potentially going to be. We find them in their wild element when they're all dressed up together. What do you find would be potentially the reaction of venues, right? Because when I think about a live interactive stage show, okay, a lot of bars and gig places like that don't want the Blues Brothers scene where people are throwing bottles at the chicken wire. So, what do you think is the reaction you're looking at from bar owners?
So, as Mike said, we do.
Yeah, I would love that scene.
Also, we've thought about that a lot. I'm an attorney, so it's doing waivers and making sure that we're all above board and that insurance will be happy with it is it's a priority of mine.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't want to get my baby taken away from me. But so that would be one of those things to where with the Goblin March, we'll give you the weapons. Please don't hurt each other. Maybe, just making sure that people
will be fine.
But essentially just making sure that the crowd knows that we're all here to have a good time and don't get too rowdy, but have a good time.
Yeah.
Because I don't see this getting any crazier than some of the mosh pits that I've seen at some of my shows.
Yeah.
He played in it for a little bit, and I still do play in a Pantera cover band.
Sure.
And I've seen some absolutely crazy things happen. So I don't, as long as, we don't have any ambulances at the show, I'll be pretty happy.
If I might share a story in that, those were the shows I was going to as well. Right. I'm in my mid 40s. You guys look like you're getting close to that 40 if you're not over, but am I right? Did I guess right? Where are we at?
I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. All right.
I'm 21 plus.
All right.
I'm 31. Yeah.
I might cut that out. Who knows? But
hey, no, leave it in. We look we're like grizzled veterans of the scene.
Yeah. At this point.
I mean, I've been kicked so hard in the head at hardcore shows that I blacked out. Yeah. That'll age you pretty quick.
Well, then that's the stuff that I remember growing up and going to metal shows. And when my now young adult sons were getting into metal, they didn't have the opportunities to go to shows that I did. They didn't exist, or they weren't anywhere near. And the end of the moshing area for me was pretty violent and pretty bloody. When you got dudes that are just pinwheeling their fists just for the sake of trying to to connect with somebody.
Crowd killing.
Yeah, I've easily taken a boot to the forehead.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And so a couple years ago, we got a chance to go see Metallica and Avenged and Volbeat down in Philadelphia. And I brought my boys.
I remember that tour. Yeah.
It was great. And I hadn't been in a pit in 25 years. My son certainly had no base of reference whatsoever. And I was nervous as hell. I was really genuinely like, how is this going to work? First of all, am I going to have a heart attack? And are they going to get hurt? And it turned out
that would be pretty metal.
The landscape is so different now. It was not what I remembered, but it was everything good that I remembered about metal. Like the crowd was so good to each other. They were so good to my sons. I'm bouncing around like an idiot going in the circle, having the best time of my life. And when one kid got out of line and started getting a little too rowdy, this 7'8" freaking monster of a guy steps forward, puts his finger in front of the kid's face and says, no, and points him to leave. And that guy spent the rest of his night patrolling the pit to make sure nobody got hurt. Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? This is a new world.
And that actually brings us back to the original point. That's the kind of what we're trying to get back to.
Right.
Because I go to a lot of shows, right? And I love moshing. I know it's not good for my health.
No,
but I love it, right? And I've gone to see a bunch of old school bands, and I've gone to see a lot of like the newer hip bands, right? Yeah, I said hip. You hear that? That's how cool we are. But those older bands, you're right. You have these guys that still want that moshing experience, but also there's that certain maturity that's built into that scene. Like, hey, let's not hurt each other, running into each other.
Hurt each other enough.
Yeah. And then you have the guys watching that. And then I go to some of these newer, moshes, and they're like just killing each other. Yeah. I went to a show. I won't say what band it was because it wasn't the band's fault. And I love them. So I don't want to rat them out. I counted 6 ambulances at the show.
Oh God.
And that's when I stopped counting, and it was because these young kids, they don't have that. They aren't to that mature level yet. And that's another aspect of that old school scene we would like to have. It's like, hey, let's go out and be active and have fun, but let's be respectful.
Well, I think you've set up a really, really good opportunity for that to happen just by bringing in the fantasy and honestly, the abject silliness of bringing together these different facets of metal show, but D&D, but funny gags, but playing with the audience, props, and just general tomfoolery and nonsense. That's how old I am. I say tomfoolery. And he made me think of when before the show I was telling you about my 18-year-old wiring his guitar and having a freak out. He went down. I saw him disappear. And I saw an army of hands reach down and pick him up and put him back on his feet and clap him on the back. And he came up to me smiling with a little blood coming down his front tooth like it was the greatest moment of his life. And
that's how it has to be.
I cried, guys. I'm standing in the crowd listening to I don't even know what the hell. I could care less what Metallica was playing at the moment. They might have been playing. I don't know.
That's not far off.
Who cares? And I'm just having this amazing experience. But I think you're going to definitely light a bit of a fire under these kids, these 19, 20, 25-year-olds that love all of these different types of escapism, whether it is D&D or it's the Nintendo culture or anime. What do you think is your number one challenge to overcome, apart from COVID and the logistical thing of safety? What do you think is that particular hurdle you're going to have to cross in order to get this thing to be what you really want?
I need to learn how to play guitar.
I mean, that would help. I should buy one. A big thing that I think is a huge hurdle in any music scene, especially in a state like ours, is one, getting people there just in general. Cause like show turnout hasn't been the same in a long time. And then it's also getting that icebreaker of like, this is different. We want you to be a part of it. Cause a big thing in like, and I've played at places like MagFest, and that was like one of the best shows I ever did, of just people who want to be there are there, and they'll be interactive. They'll move, they'll dance, they'll clap, they'll have fun. A lot of Midwestern shows, it's, you sit back, you enjoy it, you clap when it's done, and then you move on. because a lot of people are just into what they're doing right here as opposed to everything around them. So I think a big hurdle is, one, just getting people to participate in something that the music scene here doesn't have, which is a super interactive show, and no one's going to be used to that. And it's going to be just breaking that ice. And the whole goal of that is you make it a party as well as good as you can. You make it an all ages party. You have a good time, and you just try to be as like one-on-one with your audience as you can.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that, because we are basing this off of a now semi-antiquated model, right? Where we want the live show.
Yeah,
that's such a big part of what we want to do. But this is the age of YouTube, this is the age of Twitch. You can live stream it, but it's not the same. And I think the biggest hurdle is going to be making that transition out of a digital medium into an actual physical one again, which I feel bad for a lot of the younger guys, because, we're millennials, technically, I guess, elder millennials. So we were on that transition of when we were in high school, we were still going to see bands all the time. There was this real underground thing, and you still had a scene, right? But the interconnectivity of everything has kind of killed the scene, and I think it's basically trying to cultivate that again, as Mike said.
Yeah, it's because even Tulsa's my hometown. And one of our most popular venues for me growing up when I was first started playing in hardcore shows was a venue called the Pink Eye, which isn't there anymore. And it was
just sounds gross.
Yeah, it was. It needs to be. It needs to be gross. It needs to be dangerous.
I'll disagree, but please continue.
It was just an extra large shack and a small stage, and it was a punk venue, and no walls except for a small wall around the toilet that was in the corner. And
that may or may not have been hooked up to the sewage.
Yeah, it may not have.
You don't know. It may have been a hole in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And just, you'd go there for a punk show, and it's this spot is a hangout. This spot is where we were going as kids. We want to go play this venue. We want to go do this. And we had 2 or 3 venues that we just pop around all the time. And now it's turned into bars. And because the Tulsa scene, Oklahoma scene in general, is a lot of bands can play on the same ticket. You can have a metal band with, a guy who's doing singer-songwriter and people who are doing pop rock. You can have a person who's doing, just full-on pop with a blues band with, a punk band. You can do that here. And it doesn't have to be all the same ticket, which in one way kind of is nice because now everyone knows each other, but you don't get as much of a scene as you do of we want to go see this handful, these handful, these handful. It's everyone knows each other, but it kind of just washes out a lot. So you have pros and cons, but yeah, which is, I think, is a bonus for this band because we're going to bring something so different that it's going to have to turn it on its head. And having the antiquated model of it has to be a show to behold enough to make people get out there.
And if you don't like the music, that maybe it's hey, go check them out. You may not like metal, but just go see the show.
Yeah.
But I'll leave it at that.
I gotta say that I'm still a little bit struck by what you said earlier in regards to going after the potential audience at the cons, because who's going to the cons, right? We're going, right? The really, what was in Airbender, what was Zuko's uncle's name? That's me. I'm the old grizzled general that wants to see the young millennial kid.
Oh man, I lose a lot of nerd credit.
General Iroh. That's who I am.
That was it.
I was about to say, I know it starts with an I and ends with an O.
That's me, but, right? But I know, even if you're right, even if they're not necessarily a metal fan, you're going to give, I guess let's use the word kids. You're going to give these kids an opportunity to have an experience that relates to their culture. Right. And it just, I thought D&D was done 25 years ago. I thought it was done.
4th edition almost killed it.
Yeah.
I think it's when I stopped playing. And yet to see all of my kids, whenever they're all home together, will come into your room and a table and set up and go for hours. And I thought that I've never thought that was going to happen. And I just think that while you may struggle to get us, right? You may struggle to get me or you back to that live show because of COVID, because my back hurts, because I have work in the morning, all of these different things. That's going to make it hard for that traditional antiquated model.
Real.
It's a little too real, but you have a whole, I think, again, they're all there. They can't wait to bring their piercings and their purple hair and their weird costumes. You're gonna,
I want to see some dope purple hair.
Yeah.
I wish I could grow it.
And for those of you at home who can't see him, he has a shiny dome, and I'm gonna rub it.
But he has a perfect, amazing monster ginger beard.
He makes up for it.
Yeah, it works. It works. John, you totally look like a lawyer. I'm so sorry. That was not what I was expecting.
I had to clean up once I started getting real big boy jobs. I used to be a lot more metal, but that's also some of the fun of it. It really is. Like one time I went up to the school and I was all excited. And a friend of mine comes up and is like, "Why are you so excited?" It's like, "Hey, you want to come to my show tonight?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll see you. What do you do?" It's like, "I play guitar." He goes, "Oh, okay." I purposely didn't tell him that it was a Pantera show. And we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
We had 4 complete Mesa Boogie stacks up there, right?
Yeah, like
so
huge walls of
we're
amps.
Talking like I don't want to math it right now, but that's a lot of speakers. It was a lot of power. And I remember seeing him after the show and he's like, "You didn't tell me it would be like that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes." So my goal is to be a lawyer musician that doesn't worship Stevie Ray Vaughan. I do not want to be what we call down here the litigator. And the litigator is the old attorney who can kind of play, but not really, and has really expensive gear. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you're definitely going to be in the moment. You'll be in the zone. You'll be in costume. You will be your character. You will be gone is John the lawyer, and present will be, tell me again.
John the Bard-barian.
Bard-barian. Thank you.
Yes.
Who looks like a lawyer.
Who looks like a lawyer.
What's it like being God so hard?
Hey, I did this to myself.
Look, guys, I'm not sporting anything more interesting either over here. When I turned 40, I grew all my high school hair back and I shaved the sides of my head. When I turned 40 is when I got my Jason Newsted haircut. Finally, I didn't have it.
Hey, if you're gonna pick a haircut, though,
that's a good haircut.
That's one to get.
That's a good one.
That was the one. I never got to do it when I was 17 before I got big boy jobs and had kids and crap and had to cut my hair. So people will come back. I think and even those younger Gen Xers will come back to have the experiences that they haven't been able to have in 20 years. Now, whether or not they will have a heart arrhythmia or throw a disc out at the show is to be seen.
That's still pretty metal.
It's still pretty metal.
That's what I have. Arrhythmia, that's Julian's job, right?
Yeah. There's a music joke.
That very good. Ding. I get a little ding sound effect in there. I don't have one. Sorry. I have no soundboard here.
So I got.
I appreciate you rolling with that. That was fun.
No, I can appreciate a good jab, a punch. You didn't actually have to hit him.
You don't have to actually hit him. Crying out loud. You can sue him, right? But
yeah, that's bad.
You need me.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Okay, we're gonna refocus. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll fix it in post. That I love editing.
I'll unpunch you in post.
Wow, that would be really cool. You know what?
It's a tiger.
I'll take some liberty here.
Sure,
I'm gonna tell a little story since he's giving me a hard time. I'm gonna go back to when Mike and I met. It was a beautiful day. It wasn't. It was not a beautiful day.
Not.
And we were both working for Lady Gaga.
Uh-huh.
And we were on the stage crew.
Yeah, we were stage hands at what was once the Ford Center, now the Chesapeake Arena.
So we were working the Gaga gig, and he comes in, and there's this big dude, and he's wearing a kilt, right? And he has a mohawk because he still had hair then, mutton chops, and he just looked like one of those dudes who would like take your lunch money in a back alley, right? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from this dude. And
then we were put on a 2-man team because we weren't part of like the official crew.
So,
so it was just us in a corner.
But we had to sign this Medusa waiver, like you can't look at her if she's in the room. If they see your phone, they would confiscate it and destroy it. It was crazy.
They will not let you do anything.
We're working, and I worked for Lady Gaga, and I was working on a ranch at the same time with horses, right? And I had been kicked in the back of the leg by a horse earlier that week. And what I didn't realize is that it had disconnected my patella, which is my kneecap, right? So I look down and my kneecap is on the side of my leg, like literally on the side.
To caveat it is we worked the entire shift from like, I think 7 p.m. into like, we worked the morning shift and then we came back. So we worked from show call for like 7 p.m. into about 3 or 4 a.m. because we had to take down the stage afterwards.
After having done the whole morning before.
Yeah. And then he looks at me, he's like, yeah, my knee kind of hurts. And so we hobble over to my car where I have a flashlight. And this is us just first meeting.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, let's go to my car and I have a flashlight. So I took out a flashlight and is like, if this is his leg and his knee, it was purple and over here.
Oh.
So being a dumb kid, you know what I do? I punched it back in the place and we went and we finished the gig.
Yeah.
And we became buddies after that because he actually wound up having to drive me home because I couldn't move my leg anymore. And that's how we met. So
that's the most metal lawyer thing I've ever heard.
To make it even better, and I might be incriminating myself here. I knew that I had injured myself pretty bad by the end of the night. And I was like, man, if I can't do this gig anymore, I need something to tell people. And this was back when there were all those, malicious rumors that Lady Gaga had a Gaga, she had some extra pieces. So I went under the stage until I found the disco stick, which is a giant flamethrower, and I messed around with it so I could tell everybody, yeah, sure, I broke my knee, but I touched Lady Gaga's disco stick. So it had a happy ending.
Oh,
yeah.
Memories.
Which I got to meet her that evening because I had to bring a whole bunch of merch and posters to her bus, and she was very sweet and she was very kind.
Yeah, so
a wonderful woman.
Well, that's good. I mean, you're out there. I'm sure at that point, you had your big dreams, but what were we really doing? We were working, right? Just doing our jobs.
Yep.
And you meet somebody that's got that level of stardom and fame, and you never quite know if they're going to be complete, shit or an actual nice person. And that's good. That's good. Not exactly our musical tastes or styles, but
the nicest person I ever got the pleasure of working with was Michael Bublé.
Okay.
I'm not a Bublé guy, that ain't me, but he was such a gentleman. That was like 12 years ago. And I still tell everybody that like even mentions him. It's like, no, he's a great guy. So if you're listening to this, that means be nice no matter who you are, because word gets around.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah. Working that stagehand job, I think the best people I got to work with, no joke, was John Cena and Triple H. They were super, super nice because that was also a clause of you shouldn't because they'd shoot it live. You're like, okay, as a stagehand, you can't be in this area that they had marked off and everything. And WWE is super nice to their stagehands. Like when I was working there, they had a full buffet of food, like a rest area, and like people who were cleaning the restrooms and things like that for our area that we were working in, like super nice. And it ended up being, once again, because I'm just kind of this floater worker of like, hey, we need all this stuff delivered to the locker room. Can you push these carts down there? Which is like clothes, towels, food, things like that. So I'm trying to cart it all down there. And just a whole bunch of wrestlers happen to be there. And I'm technically not allowed to talk to them. But because they did it, they're like more okay with it. And so I'm delivering it. And they were like super thankful, shook my hand, asked if I wanted pictures. Were super cool, just real nice to work with. And WWE as a stagehand was really cool to work with.
And more stories, because I love telling these, because I don't get to tell them too often. I got the opportunity with an old band of mine to open up for Styx, Foreigner, and Don Felder, right? And that's still the biggest show I've ever done. I think the door count was 8,000 or 9,000 people, and I remember rehearsing backstage, right? And then the guys from Foreign are coming up, and they were behind us, and they listened to us rehearsing. And then they came around and sat down, and they're like, "Hey, you guys are awesome." And they just sat there talking to us. And then me, I was raised on classic rock, right? So I'm just like, I can't believe that like Foreigner is telling me I'm awesome, right? And then Tommy Shaw from Styx, his guitar tech comes out, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go through Tommy's guitars? You want to see some of these?" And I'm like, you know what? I wasn't nervous about playing in front of this plethora of people, but going through Tommy's guitars, I might die here.
Yeah.
You know, that was really, yes, the guys in Styx and Foreigner, they were awesome. I'll never forget that. It was, you know, tour bus, Mini Cooper that we were in, tour bus. But that was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, and look, I think that what you're trying to do is let those experiences inform how you try to put together something that's going to entertain an audience, and just keep that humor, keep that good humor, keep that positivity. So what's the pie in the sky here, guys? Where do we think this is going to go? Are we talking like Total Request Live, or you know, what's where do we think we're
used to be Ellen, but we reconsidered that here recently.
The goal was I wanted to get on Ellen, and I was like, no, that's not it. Because I just think it'd be funny to have a band like us on like daytime television.
You know, the pie in the sky, you know, it's dangerous to think, man, I want to be a rock star, I want to make money. At this point, we're adults. We realize that, you know, this is a fun hobby that we still take very seriously. Mm-hmm. I guess for me, the goal is to just have people genuinely like it. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, and it's the Bible answer, you know.
Right.
But that's all I want. I just want people to have a good time. Be like, hey, this perked my mood up. That's pretty much all I want.
I think my local pie in the sky job would be playing Kane's Ballroom, just so I can play in the same place that the Sex Pistols played in. But if I really was like, if I could just play anywhere, like something ridiculously stupid, put us on Saturday Night Live. Let us be that crazy and just go.
Yeah, we'll do the skits.
Yeah, no, we'll just go in.
Yeah,
it's live television. What are they going to do? Fire us?
Oh, also, if we could get on tour with Coheed and Cambria,
that'd be good.
I might actually die.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Those guys are super sweet.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question though, right? So it's interesting. You guys have had a good range of experiences with bands that are known. You've played shows with, you know, established acts, but you also are grounded in reality and I guess the dreaded day job, the stuff that dispels all of our fantasies about what we're really doing. So what would happen though? I mean, could you pick up and disappear on the road for, you know, like, you guys are an amazing opener. We want to bring you, we're doing 16 cities in this many months. Honestly, would you be able to do it if somebody offered it?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it'd be something to work out for it's easier for you.
Yeah, I don't have a kid.
Since I got a baby on the way, but and with your job that you're gonna have, you set your own hours. I actually have like a 9-to-5 day job,
right?
That like, so it's having that it'd be difficult. It would take a lot of planning, but I would definitely, in my head, I would be like, no, I'm going to jump and do it. It would take a lot of planning, but yeah, no, I would absolutely try.
You know, and interestingly enough,
if not at least just once.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, too, the way that touring is working has changed a lot from the old days. It's more leg based now, right? So you'll have bands go out for a little bit of time, go back home, recuperate, go back out. Yeah. So I think it's more sustainable, realistically, to say that, yeah, we could probably do it if it came up. But like I said,
take a weekend here, take a long weekend here, take a weekend here. Like, you know, go play, like, if we could, like, you know, like New York, Chicago, Jersey, come home, come back, California, Washington, something else, come home.
But even if we got like a call from, as I said, Coheed and Cambria, and they're like, hey, we want you to do the 16-week thing like you had mentioned. Yeah, if I have to sell my car, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I only need one kidney.
It's true. I got a kid on the way. I can sell one of my testicles. It'll be fine.
I thought you were going to say you're going to sell the kid.
No, I mean, that my wife wants that.
It
one.
is Coheed and Cambria.
My wife wants the kid.
Oh, okay.
I'm more afraid of my wife than I am Claudio Sanchez.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Watch out. He's our patron saint.
I really want to hear more. I want to see more. I can't wait to be able to enjoy a little bit more of what I saw. I mean, just got that little taste at Bandcamp. Is there anywhere else right now? Where can I direct people to go to get a real good sense of what's going on here?
So the Bandcamp right now is the main one.
Mm-hmm.
We're also, you can find, Balefire, 2 Mimics to Midnight. It's on all the major streaming platforms, purchasing platforms for 69 cents because nice. But as far, Twitter is basically been our main vehicle for getting things out there.
Yeah.
Because this has all been working, and we really just started telling people it was a real thing once the single was done. Because we didn't want to build up a lot of false hype and then not actually
we've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, get it out there. So
I think we've been like songwriting and slowly getting things together. What was originally going to take like a short amount of time, but COVID put it back. I mean, maybe like 4 years now.
Just playing around with it, tightening up the...
Yeah, because what started as me originally, like, I'm going to put out a fun little fantasy concept album just for fun. And then it turned into, well, I kind of want it to be bigger, so I'm going to take more time on it. And then it turned into, like, I talked to John, and then it was like, well, why don't we do some instrumentation on it? And I was like, well, why don't we make it a full band? And it became, well, okay, let's be the next Guar because they're not doing as good as they used to.
Yeah. And actually, the band got started because we wanted to do chiptunes for autism.
Yeah.
Which... you can find some of our older songs that are not nearly as polished as they are now.
No.
Plus a funny misnaming of one of our songs that has bad language in it. Yeah. But that was an accident. But yeah, we wanted to do chiptune for autism. And after we got that first song done, we're like, hey, this is kind of rad. Let's become Guar, but without as much blood.
But see, what I like about that is, and that paints a nice picture too, because it shows this, like, I got an idea, and all of us that are artists or creators out there in one form, it doesn't matter where it is or what it is, but you start with this cool idea, but then you realize it could be something more. And then you start putting the work in, and then you realize, oh crap, I could do this. And I got a buddy who can do this. And so it's interesting to kind of think about that evolution from just where you realize, oh yeah, I can, monkey around with this old Game Boy from when I was a kid. And now it's turned into a polished piece of music and a concept show that's got some potential there. I'm keenly interested. And honestly, I feel like a fanboy at a moment here. You guys are like a Buble, and
we're taking applications.
Yeah.
We want that one guy that's like the pizza delivery dude from Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want one of those.
Yeah.
We want to borrow his car so we can, go and get the Pick of Destiny.
Yeah.
Do I have to like make my own costume, or
yes,
it's encouraged actually.
Yeah. Highly encouraged.
Okay. All right. I'll have to figure something out. I might be a beholder. That's about the closest shape that I could come to my actual body shape. So,
Oh, I was just going to say it's because you're like doing interviews and stuff. You're like gathering knowledge. I wasn't going to say anything about, your stately figure.
Oh, thank you.
Don't be so self-deprecating, man. It's all love. It's all metal.
No, that's the beauty of metal.
It's all love. Yeah, it's all love. It's all metal. Peace be with you.
It's all metal. It's all metal. Punch that guy.
Today's top headlines.
Well, this has been an absolute joy, guys. Thank you for making a cool Saturday night conversation for me and the listeners here on Project Creator. Once again, Balefire is out there. Look for 2 Mimics to Midnight. You can find it on all the spots that get your music and your podcasts, and go over to the Bandcamp. That'll be in the description below. Mike, John, an absolute pleasure to meet you guys. I wish you all the success in the world. I can't wait to hear and see more.
You can find it wherever you listen to your boring peasant music.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should end it with like some layered or flute or something, and I don't know, pan flute or something.
Hold on, wait.
Uh-oh.
Wait.
What's he got?
We'll do this now.
Wait.
We'll do it live.
Oh, I can't remember the.
Hold on.
Okay, you're just gonna.
The bass.
Is Is it in tune? Oh,
Oh, you guys gonna play me out?
Sure, why not?
Oh, that's awesome.
We got the stuff to do it. Which one?
Did you guys finish wiring the guitar over there?
No.
Oh yeah, I'm learning the guitar right now because I mentioned that.
That's good.
Give me an A.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, that's not in tune.
Shut up, you're fine.
It's metal. Doesn't have to be in tune.
Okay. I'll get you can do the chord, I'll follow.
We're just good. I want you to do like the mouth flute noises because he mentioned like the whimsical flutes. Okay, we're gonna go pseudo Spanish. How's that sound?
Sure.
Special thanks again to my guests today, Metroid Mike and John the Bard-barian of Balefire. Find their music and everything about the band at balefire.bandcamp.com. Download the music and look for Balefire coming soon.
Oh, that was a spicy note.
Yeah.